Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a tale of magic and revenge. Snow White was a beautiful princess who lived in a kingdom ruled by her evil stepmother, the Queen. The Queen was jealous of Snow White's beauty and wanted to be the fairest of them all. She had a magic mirror that always told her the truth. One day, the mirror told her that Snow White was fairer than her. The Queen was furious and ordered her huntsman to kill Snow White and bring back her heart as proof. The huntsman took Snow White to the forest, but he could not bring himself to kill her. He told her to run away and never come back. He killed a deer instead and brought its heart to the Queen. The Queen was satisfied and ate the heart, thinking it was Snow White's. She did not know that the magic mirror could still see Snow White alive in the forest. Snow White wandered in the forest until she came across a cottage. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. She entered the cottage and saw that it was very messy and dirty. She decided to clean it up and make it cozy. She also found some food and ate it. She was very tired and fell asleep on one of the 7 beds in the cottage. The cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs who worked as miners in the mountains. They came back from work and saw that their cottage was clean and tidy. They also noticed that someone had eaten their food and slept in their beds. They searched the cottage and found Snow White sleeping peacefully. They were surprised and curious about her. They decided to let her stay and woke her up gently. Snow White was startled to see 7 dwarfs staring at her. She introduced herself and explained her situation. The dwarfs felt sorry for her and agreed to let her stay with them as long as she cooked and cleaned for them. They also warned her not to open the door for anyone while they were away. Snow White was happy with the dwarfs and they became friends. She cooked delicious meals for them and sang songs with them. They taught her how to mine and gave her a necklace made of jewels. They also protected her from the dangers of the forest, such as wild animals and bandits. However, the Queen soon discovered that Snow White was still alive through her magic mirror. She was enraged and decided to kill Snow White herself. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went to the cottage with a basket of poisoned apples. She knocked on the door and offered Snow White an apple as a gift. Snow White remembered the dwarf's warning, but she thought that the old woman was harmless and friendly. She took an apple from the basket and bit into it. The apple was poisoned and Snow White fell into a deep sleep that looked like death. The Queen laughed wickedly and left, thinking that she had finally gotten rid of Snow White. The magic mirror confirmed that she was now the fairest of them all. The dwarfs came back from work and saw Snow White lying on the floor with an apple in her hand. They realized that she had been tricked by the Queen and tried to revive her, but it was too late. They were heartbroken and angry. They decided to bury Snow White in a glass coffin in a clearing in the forest, where they could visit her every day. One day, a prince was riding through the forest with his men. He saw the glass coffin with Snow White inside it and was captivated by her beauty. He asked the dwarfs who she was and what had happened to her. The dwarfs told him everything and allowed him to pay his respects to Snow White. The prince kissed Snow White's lips, hoping that his love would wake her up. To his surprise, his kiss broke the spell and Snow White opened her eyes. She recognized him as the prince she had met once at a ball in the castle before she ran away from the Queen. She had fallen in love with him at first sight, but she did not think he would ever find her again. They hugged each other and expressed their joy at being reunited. The dwarfs were overjoyed as well and welcomed the prince as their friend. The prince asked Snow White to marry him and take him to his kingdom, where they would be safe from the queen's wrath. Snow White agreed and said goodbye to the dwarfs, promising to visit them often. They rode away on the prince's horse, followed by his men. However, they did not notice that one of the men was actually a spy sent by the queen to track down Snow White. He reported everything to the queen through a magic ring. The queen was shocked and furious when she learned that Snow White was alive again and had escaped with the prince. She decided to use her most powerful magic to destroy them both once and for all. She summoned a dark storm that unleashed lightning bolts, thunderclaps, hailstones, strong winds, and rain on their path. The storm caught up with them and threatened to tear them apart. The prince tried to shield Snow White from the storm, but he was hit by a lightning bolt and fell off his horse. Snow White screamed and ran to him, but she was also struck by a lightning bolt and collapsed next to him. The queen watched the scene with satisfaction and gloated over her victory. She thought that she had finally killed Snow White and the prince. She did not know that the magic mirror had a different plan. The magic mirror had grown tired of the queen's evil deeds and decided to intervene. It used its own magic to protect Snow White and the prince from the storm and heal their wounds. It also reversed the queen's magic and turned it against her. The storm turned on the queen and struck her with multiple lightning bolts, setting her on fire. She screamed in agony and fell to the ground, dead. The storm dissipated and the sun came out. Snow White and the prince woke up and saw each other alive and well. They also saw the queen's charred body and realized that she was gone for good. They thanked the magic mirror for saving them and asked it how they could repay it. The magic mirror told them that it only wanted them to be happy and live in peace. It also told them that it had freed the kingdom from the queen's tyranny and restored its prosperity and harmony. It then vanished, leaving behind a message that said, "Happily ever after." Snow White and the prince kissed and hugged each other. They continued their journey to the prince's kingdom, where they were welcomed by his parents and subjects. They also invited the dwarfs to their wedding and gave them a place of honor. They lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and found it inspiring. If you did, please show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel. Also, don't forget to click the bell icon below to get notified when I post new stories. I have many more stories to share with you, and I can't wait to see your comments and feedback. Thank you for your time and attention. See you soon.